So it's the third week of the month, and that means we get a MattyCollector.com subscription shipment. This time it's John Constantine. And open it up, and here is the display box, and you get the nice art of Constantine on the side, and you can see the bio of Constantine with the great art in a much larger form. Now we can take a look at the figure itself. I think it's a very nice representation of Constantine. Now, I must admit I'm not that big of a fan or too familiar with the character. First we'll take a look at the figure here. I really do like this sculpt. A lot of people have been criticizing the fact that he has this scar on his side, or the side of his face there. It is, I guess, accurate to the current Vertigo Constantine. However, with a more sort of classic Constantine, it does kind of ruin that sort of timeless feel that you would want a character to have. I think it's fine just because, well, you know, again, I don't know the character that well, and it just makes him look even more grizzled and beaten up, and you know, I think that just adds to the character. You can see he's got some sculpted on details in the 5 o'clock shadow that the paint just really brings out. I like the hair. His brow is worn. He just looks like he's seen and done a lot. So I like his wrinkled shirt and his jeans and the very nicely sculpted trench coat, the typical suited look there. So it's not all new, it's not all old. And I really do like the shading that they put on the coat here in the back, and the shirt. It does give him that dirty, rumpled look. I really like the way the jeans popped out. You know, just that blue immediately, both in the package and out of the package. And like I mentioned before, his 5 o'clock shadow is enhanced by the paint as well. And you know, they did a pretty good job on the paint on his hair. A little bit uneven job on this side, but that's not too much to complain about. What I can complain about is the fact that he doesn't come with anything. Now, it'd been cool maybe to include, I don't know, like a cross or a book or some kind of mystical object to go along with him. Now, I did hear rumblings that originally they were going to have a accessory that would be a deck of cards, but would also kind of double as a pack of cigarettes, because they couldn't out and out, I guess, you know, include a actual, or not an actual, but a representation of a pack of cigarettes, even though these are for the adult collector. I guess Mattel didn't want to promote that way of a lifestyle, I guess. So unfortunately, we did not get that or a lighter. I think there was also some talk of including a lighter with some flame effects. Instead of getting something, we got nothing. So I think you might have to raid your other figures for some type of object that you can have. Something just to make it a little bit more interesting. Now, he does pose pretty well. It is just missing that extra piece that would have really sold it on the character and his mystical background. So for articulation, his head does go left and right, a little bit side to side, not so much up and down. Hair is a little bit far down in the back there. So his arms do go all the way around, out to the side, rotate at the bicep, bend at the elbow, and he rotates at the wrist there. He has waist articulation, ab crunch articulation, legs go forward, that far, back, out to the side, rotates at the thigh, bends at the knee. His feet do go forward and back just a little bit because of the way the pants are sculpted down there. Pretty much standard for DC Universe Classics. He first appeared in Swamp Thing number 37 in 1985, created by Alan Moore. I know that as a child, he had an abusive alcoholic father, and somehow he got into magic even back then, and the first spell that he did was to remove his childhood innocence and put it away in a box, and so he could be hardened to face what his father was putting him and his family through. His teen years, he got into the punk rock movement, and that led to even more contact with occultism through the bands and stuff like that. And I know that he and a few others had this failed attempt to use a demon to destroy this other monster that was after a kid, and that escapade ended terribly with the demon dragging the kid to hell, and most of his friends ended up dead in that, and it actually led to him going to a mental institute for several years to recover. And but coming out of that, you don't really know how he progresses, but he does become quite an expert in the dealings of the occult and demons and the paranormal and magic in general. So he of course does take up smoking, and from his habit he develops lung cancer, and that's his most famous story, where he's tricked this demon from collecting the soul of his friend by somehow preventing him from collecting it at the appointed hour. So once that hour was up, the demon had no claim on the soul. So basically just stalled him until the time expired. Well, that demon wanted to make him suffer in hell. So he comes up with this Machiavellian plot whereby he sells his soul to two different demons. When he would die, his soul would be in contest between these two demons. And this conflict would then spread to basically all of heaven, all of hell, and the earth in between. And thus the demons, in order to prevent this war from coming, because he is going to die from the lung cancer, they cure him. That kind of becomes his forte in these very complex, scheming, manipulative plots to get his way. And sometimes they're for the good of all, and sometimes innocent people get caught up in it and suffer, but always there's some really, involved con, I guess you will. So he's a demonic con man, I guess you would say. No, like I said, he's appeared in several other series. Particularly the Vertigo series, the Sandman, Books of Magic, and Swamp Thing, obviously. Because of his status in Vertigo, the way DC used the character, he's had analogs in the regular DC universe as well. Particularly, there's a guy named Willoughby Kipling who appeared in the Doom Patrol, and that guy was meant to be John Constantine. And in the short-lived series of Stanley and His Monster, there was another character called Ambrose Bierce that was supposed to be him, but because DC editorial did not want Constantine used in both the Vertigo universe and the DC universe, the creators, the writers, had to change the character's name and appearance. You might know the wonderful, genius movie that is Constantine, featuring Keanu Reeves. So there is that version of John Constantine, who is not British and very much Neo-ish. It's not a bad supernatural thriller, but it's not really John Constantine. When coming up with the look of Constantine, he was very much inspired by Sting from the Police, because the artist John Tuttlebone was a big fan of the Police, and so you can see a little bit of hint of that, because in issue 51 of I guess it's Hellblazer, he appears on a boat that is named the Gordon Sumner, which is Sting's real name. So that was a kind of a in-joke. His look with the long trench coat and sort of slovenly look there was, I think, also a big influence on the way Castiel the Angel looks on Supernatural. And just some little bit more information. Like I said, there was this whole thing where, I guess after 1988, when he got his own series called Hellblazer, his own comic series, he appeared less and less in the DC universe proper. And by 1993, when Vertigo was pretty much set up and established, DC decided that an adult character such as Constantine should not appear in the regular DC comics. And it was that way until just last year, when he made an appearance at the end of Blackest Night, which was a real big surprise to everybody. As once Vertigo got their hands on somebody, they didn't let go. And unfortunately, in the JSA comic, a lot of the characters suffered that fate as well. That being specifically Dr. Fate, no pun intended. I'm talking, of course, the Hector Hall version. With all the new 52 titles, the Hellblazer series actually became DC's longest actively published comic book. Action and detective, which had a lot more issues. Their numbering was almost up to 900. With those canceled and restarted, his series became the longest numerically titled series. So, but that's all changed because now DCU, the New 52 universe, has reclaimed Constantine, and thus they are canceling the Vertigo series and moving him into the regular New 52 DC universe. We will not have a DC published comic book that has not been consecutively published for more than 18 months. Marvel is just as bad with their things. They just restarted their line as well with Marvel Now. So anyway, I guess that'll do it for Constantine. Stay tuned for the other for a look at the other figure for this month from the Club Infinite Earths subscription, which is Uncle Sam. And until then, I'll see you.